Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having an amazing Sunday. It is absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous weather up here in Canada. And I just wanted to go ahead. I popped up the gold coins behind me because gold is rocking. So is silver, but I couldn't find any really good silver coins or anything. When I put up silver, it was just silver in a silver shop. So I thought that's not really good. So today we are going to talk about the SPY, and we're going to talk about my watch list as well. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and put it in the chat. I will get to it. Good morning, Neil. Thanks for joining me. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let me just switch this over here. So I do have the SPY up. I also have Tesla. We can talk about Tesla, we can talk about the SPY, but I'll show you my little watch list right here beforehand. Good morning, John, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. So we have CLFD, TRTN, FE, SAM, TACO, ASML, GS, Abbott, BlackRock, and Delta Airlines. So I'm just going to go ahead and I will clear all this up. We had some great ones that we talked about last week. And we will talk about my favorite EMA, my exponential moving average that I love. And when we go and we look at Tesla, let's put it right here on the 45-minute chart. And I go ahead and stretch it out, clear it up a little bit, get rid of the pivots, the camarillas, and my volume session profile. Do the same thing over here, clear it up. When we look at it, do you guys see this pink dotted line? Hey, Arky, good to see you. You guys see this pink dotted line? How, look, it stalled, it bounced, it came up, bounced up, bounced up. Oh, now we're below it. And also, when we look at FedEx on our daily, it finally broke it. But look at how that pink dotted line acted as resistance, and here it acted as support, and it was resistance for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. So this is the 425 EMA. Put it on your chart, you won't be disappointed. All right, let's go ahead and add my list right over here. I'll pull this up, so I got it right here, and delete these out again. And we'll leave that on there. CLFD, TRTN, FE, SAM, whoops, TACO, ASML, Goldman Sachs, Abbott, BlackRock, and Delta. Hey, I got a question for you guys. Would you like me to do a midday live on the weekdays, like 12:15? Let me know, because I'm curious if you guys would like that. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll go here. We'll turn the SPY on, hide the indicators here. All right, so we've got our 45-minute chart here on the SPY. We'll get rid of these lines right here. You guys know I like that 425 EMA, right? So we're looking at it here. I think we might have that ability to come down to that 318.30 mark and then potentially bounce to the upside. So this could very well simply be a pullback for more movement to the upside, right? We haven't broken the 21 EMA, which is right here. That's really, and look, the 21 EMA, 317.82. So it's just above my 425, or just below, excuse me. So if we come down, we break that, that's likely going to indicate a trend change. You can see we had it happen here. We had 1, 2, 3 days. We held at that 200 simple moving average. We almost had a double bottom there, right? And then a W to the upside. Now we hit our resistance up here. We had some real-time price action in the dark pool, and we've had higher than normal volume the past 2 days. And we came down, we have a doji day. We are on this trend line right here, so are we going to bounce back up and head up here and test this one again? We very well. I think personally we're going to be testing 340. Before we're going to go on down to the downward turn. But you know what, the big guys are really in control of this market, so I'm just going to follow them. But right now we did have a doji day, a little bit higher than normal volume. We had these past 2 days, came up, we hit our moving average, and then we pulled back, right? So we're starting to change that trend. On the daily, it looks like we might be curling over. So the next one is we go out a little bit further. Let's go to the weekly. Where are we on the weekly? Okay, well, we could still go ahead and pull back to that 317.64 and still be in an upward trend on our weekly chart. Remember, we did that back here, we pulled back, and then we rode on up. We hit our 50 simple moving average. So, you know, I'm still feeling fairly bullish on this market until they gave me reason otherwise. They're always talking about negativity in the market. Good morning, blind trader. They're always talking about negativity in the market, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going there. That might just be them trying to convince people to sell off so they can buy the shares and take those shorts even higher. On our weekly chart for the Qs, we closed above that 4 EMA. Look at how we've just ridden it up one time. Twice we were actually down below, and we shot right back up. When we go to our daily chart, we had this trend line set up here. So we had 3 tests of it, hit above it, came down, and we also have another trend line I drew from the tops here, right? So if, actually I could put it right here, like right there. We came and we hit it, and then we bounced off of it. So looking to see, are we going to, on that weekly, we're still not rolling over just yet. Everybody's like, the market's rolling over, the market's rolling over. That's the bear trap, right? You've got to be aware of that bigger picture. That weekly, we're not rolling over just yet, in my opinion. I think we still have some more space to the upside. Likely we'll have a very big move this upcoming week. So prepared on whichever way they take it. You know, they've brought it down here. Let's draw another little trend line here. Obviously, what was really interesting was we had Microsoft and we had Intel report, right? So Microsoft reported, they reported here on Wednesday after hours, right? And then it pulled back and now we're below, but we hit a lower trend line. I did draw this channel, which we've been pretty much riding all the way up. And look, we were right at the bottom of the channel. So they could have had that optimal entry. Hey, we're going to suck those bears in. Yeah, we had better than expected earnings. We're going to suck the bears in, and then we're just going to take them and do you know what to them. Whoop, right on up and really cause some pain, potentially. They took it below. We did have some real-time price action on Microsoft as well. And for now, we are below it. It doesn't mean that they aren't necessarily taking it down, loading up on a trend line, almost at the 50 simple moving average, and they're going to bounce it up. Let's check out Apple as well. So Apple starting to curl down as well, opened lower, dropped down, almost hit that 50 simple moving average as well, and then we bounced up. Let's look at it on our weekly, because that weekly picture is really important. So on our weekly, we are just below our 4 EMA. Desert Edge. I'll explain a bear trap in just a second. So we have the weekly where we bounced off of this moving average. So we're still, you know, it had this awesome run up. Yes, we're below it at the moment. We're below this trend line. I don't know how I drew that. Well, not important. Anyways, so right now we're bouncing up. So if we go ahead and we come right back on up into this channel, I'm looking at this as they were going forward and they were just taking it to that point that they wanted to enter lower, right? So earnings are coming up July 30th. As always, let's go over here and go to earnings whisper. Oops, let's spell it right. We got Andy who shared my tweet there. So this week, let's look at them for this week, right? We've got a lot coming out this week, tons. You guys can see Amazon, Apple, AMD, Facebook, Shop, Boeing, Pfizer, McDonald's. I'm really liking McDonald's. I'll tell you why. McDonald's originally was just a hamburger place. Then they added the coffee, taking a bit out of the Starbucks market, your everyday place to go. Now, what's the biggest competition for Starbucks in the US? Dunkin' Donuts, right? What has McDonald's started adding? I don't know if they've added it in the States. You guys tell me. But up here in Canada, they've added donuts to the menu. Do you guys have donuts in the States at McDonald's now? Because then to me, they're going forward and they're taking a bite out of Dunkin' Donuts. So they said, hey, let's capture some from Starbucks and also the Dunkin' Donuts world, and then let's go ahead and get the donuts too. Just a thought. So we've got some great ones. Shopify, that's going to be a great one. In my opinion, it's best to trade up to earnings and after the announcement, but not holding through unless you're willing to just risk 100% on whatever you're trading. Six Flags, that might not be the best. I don't know. I'm not going to any theme parks right now. AstraZeneca, P&G, Procter & Gamble, Heinz. I remember when I was working 20 years ago in the brokerage world, and they went forward and they had their merger that happened, and we all got free chocolate bars. Gilead, one of the big names for the COVID vaccines. Now remember, with the COVID vaccines trades, there are 10 companies, at least in the US, that are going to be going forward and trying to perform and have their vaccine win. So that means how many, thanks John, how many companies are going to win that vaccine race? 1. So if you're betting on having that winning vaccine company, you have a 1 in 10 chance. So that means the other 90 are going to be dropping. I also know that Novavax this week will be reporting their phase 1 trials. So if you are Novavax, please be cautious. It could be amazing. They could come out with great news and it could skyrocket up to 200, 225. However, if it's not positive, it might go the other way and go down to 80. So just be aware about that if you guys are trading those. I'm staying clear of them. Great. I'm happy for lots of people that have gone ahead and made money in it. Just be cautious. That's all. All right. So Desert Edge, bear trap. So let's go ahead and look at Apple. Let's look at it on a 45-minute chart, right? So say you're trading it, and let's see a good example of it. We go here on this day. I'll zoom it in, right? So they're like, all right, we hit a high and now we're pulling back, and maybe people go short at the end of the day. And they're like, yes, all this massive volume. And then really they just took it all the way back down so that they could go ahead and take those shorts higher, meaning they want everybody to think that the stock is really going to drop, that it's going to roll over, the shorts pile into it. They're hungry for this market to crash, right? They're like, I want to pick that top, I want to profit at the top, and I want to ride it all the way down. A little bit of that greed factor. So they get in, and then what happens? The next day, okay, maybe they go ahead, they lock a profit, and then boom, goes right past their entry. They don't get out. But they think, well, man, it came from $3.99 all the way back down to $3.82. That's 13 points. I'm going to give it all the way back up here again. So then we come up and we set a lower high. So for this scenario, they're doing okay. But if they've gotten in and they don't want to, they're not willing to give it all that risk, they could have been squeezed all the way up here. Then they go ahead and they buy shares that the big guys are now selling to them up here because they got sucked into this wave, right? Exactly, the bears got squeezed, and then they had to buy the shares potentially that the big guys really wanted to get rid of. So the big guys sell up here, then they go ahead and buy the shares potentially that all the shorts are piling into, and then they go ahead and they squeeze them. Oh, guess what? The big guys go ahead and they sell their shares up here, and then the shorts are feeling the pain. So they lose here, and the big guys win going down, they buy, they go up, they sell, and then they take it back down. Continuation, right? It's very psychological game. So you have to think about, hey, what do the really big guys want to do in this market? Yeah, for sure, David. I try to help a lot. And I do teach twice a week in the training pit on Mondays and Thursdays, and we talk about the dark pool. So if you guys are interested in coming to learn about the dark pools, which is where the really big guys with the hedge funds and the billions of dollars trade, come on over and come check it out. It's at thedarkpools.com. Okay, let's go forward for the watch list. So CLFD, not the most volume every day. However, it did have more volume than normal. Here's the thing. With CLFD, this one had earnings, massive move. it only has 11 million in the float, so it's not expected to have 1 million shares trading every single day. However, this could have a short squeeze that will happen to it. The shorts might pile in and go ahead, and then the longs take it higher because the earnings came out and it was better than expected for the market. And so they go ahead and they rip it higher. So I would potentially set up a bull flag like this, right? You can see how it tested it and it pulled back here. If it breaks down below 1650, which is also the 50 simple moving average on the 15-minute chart, in my opinion, it could be coming back down to that 15 range, $1.50 potentially to the downside before it bounces and then continues on down. Or if it breaks up above that 1760 mark, you might go ahead and put an alert on the trend line and then go forward and say, hey, look, if it breaks 1760, strong volume. Yeah, John, we have videos that we post, every week. Every day. So we have webinars every day to help you learn, and you could definitely learn from those. And you'll learn a little bit about swing trading, a little bit about day trading, but you'll definitely learn more about the dark pool for sure. All right. So, G-Man, I'll add Amazon on. All right. Amazon, the beast in this market, right? So CLFD, 1650 as support and 1760 as resistance. Again, it does have 11 million in the float, so keep that on watch. All right, so we've got TRTN, another one that had earnings as well on Friday, and the average volume is still lower with 640,000, but it had higher than normal volume. Look at this breakout, right? It broke this resistance, boom. This has 52 million in the float. All right, guys, I see you putting up your picks up there. I'll add them to the list very shortly. All right, so for this one, I'd go ahead and say above 34. I'm going to go ahead and put it up a little bit higher, 34.40, and then a low of 32.70, right? So if it breaks down, hey, when we go back and look at it on our daily chart, I'm sorry, I didn't pull up the daily chart for CLFD, but this one's sort of been trading sideways. It kind of has a little bit of a cup, a skewed cup, and then a handle, right? So we could be heading on up, maybe all the way up to 37. And if we fill that, we see we've got a low right there, 37.30. We might see 38 on this week if it continues to the upside. The market liked whatever the earnings were, and so it might continue that momentum for the next 2 days. We went ahead and broke above that 200 simple moving average as well. Let's look at CLFD as well. So you guys can see on the 5-year chart, it came and actually hit a resistance point right here. So that 1814 was a high as well. So if we break that next area, 1850, 1880, then on up to 1925 area, and then probably 1950 or 1960 and $20 to the upside there. All right, let me add these on before we get too far with the chat. MKL, MKR, CRISPR. CRISPR's awesome. I like that one. All right, FE. Let's put that up there. So we're on our weekly chart. Let's check out our daily. So our daily, look at this. This is why I really love it. Look, we have a gap to fill from right here, which they tested it and brought it back down. So we have this big potential gap up to $34, right? So looking for that potentially to move to the upside. If we look at it on our 15-minute chart, aha, look, see? Gotta love these averages, right? I'll add silver on there too. We'll talk about silver and gold as well. So if we can break that 29.92, I think we're going to go ahead and see move to the upside here. You can see potentially there was an algorithm set up to sell. Coincidentally, it hit it right there. That's why I use all of these averages. People say, Jane, you have so many. Why? Because the algorithms use them. So why not be prepared and go ahead and have them on my chart and be set up so that I can see, hey, black and white price action, where are we in relation to all these potential selling points and buying points for the algorithms? All right, 28.9 and 29.92. Whoops, I put 30.29. That's not going to work. 29.92. All right. So when we look back at it, we could have that move again up to 32 back here, and then on up to potentially 34 for FE. Okay, Samuel Adams. Did you guys know that Samuel Adams is low float with 8.9 million in the float? Look at this massive amount that we had to back on June 26th. So where else have we had that much volume? We really haven't had it. So this to me is like, hey, this must have been buying volume back here. Okay, maybe they took a little bit of profit on earnings, but for the most part went ahead and squeezed, right? And with 8 million in the float, as quickly as it goes up, it can go down. So keep that in mind. Put a support level, 786.60, and resistance, I'm going to put up here at 830. Had a little bit of a move to the upside, 834.11, and then it sold it right back down. If we go even into a 5-minute chart, you can see, yeah, it popped up. We had some volume come in just before, and then it popped up and quickly came back down, right? 786.60 and 830. Big moves that could happen for this one. This one I think is going to be going to go see 1,000 soon, just like Tesla. Let's go back and look at our 5-year chart and see for it. I think we're all-time highs. Yeah, we're at all-time highs for it. So this one might be squeezing the shorts to the moon. It doesn't matter, right? You don't have to go out to a bar to have beer. You can have that in your house. And it might be a comfort thing that people are going to have comfort food. All right, Taco, Del Taco. Do you guys see that cup and handle setup right here? We're right at a resistance point. Looks like 811. I'll put this down here, maybe right here. And 811. I want to see that break. 815 actually. Right there. And look at what we have right here. We might have a brick wall up at 836. But let's go in closer at 15-minute chart. All right, so we definitely want to see that $8 price range break. So in the shorter term, I'm looking for that 8 to break. And for our support, go ahead. It looks like our support moved on up here because every time it came below, we had buyers, buyers, buyers. So $7.70 and $8. Where are you guys tuning in from? I'm always curious to know. All right, so potential shorts now. We're getting into them. Del Taco has 267 million. If you guys miss my chart at the beginning, you can always find it on my Instagram. I do post it on Sundays as well, so you guys can check it out, as well as a link to get to the video if you're not able to watch it live. It's right there so you guys can check it out too later. All right, so we have 372. You can see that all these buyers took it up right here, right? So I really like this 367.68. We'll bring it down just a little bit, 367.60. Cayman Islands, nice, G-Man. Seattle, Kentucky, nice. All right, so for ASML, we had earnings, and check that out, massive drop down. It did hit resistance right here. You can see on the daily. Potential on move down to 361. Missouri, nice. David, do you know Lambert's in Sikeston, Missouri? When I was getting my pilot's license, we would fly into Sikeston, Missouri, radio the airport, and they would send a van and pick us up and take us in through the kitchen to go to the restaurant. It's pretty cool. Oh, nice. I went to school in Rhode Island, so I know Massachusetts. We used to play a lot of teams there. Ah, the Philippines. Welcome. Very cool. All right, so let's look at Goldman Sachs. So Florida, nice. Awesome, David. Yeah, they've got a couple. And the big mugs that they used to give you too for your drinks. I remember those big mugs in Sikeston. All right, so Goldman Sachs. it was kind of like they were like, hey, we're going to go ahead and take it up here. Psych, we're going to suck you in for that bear trap, right? Double top right here. Go ahead, pull it back. Now we're at the 50 simple moving average. We have a lot of averages here. You can see if we break down further, potentially down to 193, and then maybe on down to that 187, 185 area. All right. We can see that we've had a little bit more volume as it started to come down and started to pull back. Again, I mentioned it on the majors. Let's look and see what is going on with the weekly. Are we still above that 4 EMA? Exactly, home of the throne rolls. And they used to have the local baseball team throw out the rolls in the restaurant. All right, so here we are. We're hitting the 8. So that could be a brick wall right here at 250 for Goldman Sachs. Look at how every time it sort of hit this, it bounced here, it bounced right back up. Here, once we broke it, it dropped, right? And it was resistance here. We broke through, support. So is it going to be support again? Are we going to get a dreaded M on Goldman Sachs? And come back down here to 173? We might see that. And also on XLF, the financial ETF. Okay, so Goldman Sachs, we've got 200, we're going to put 280, actually 250, because now that I see that on the weekly, 250 and 203.50 for our resistance. All right, Abbott. Got a couple here, a couple lines I can get rid of. So Abbott Laboratories had earnings as well. It was on my list on Friday as a potential short. It didn't go all the way down to the lower level that I had, but would look for that breakdown really of that 98. I really like that 98 level. 98.50. If we go ahead and we break down that 98.50 level, look, we could be coming back down 96.50, 95.50-ish if we fill this gap down to 95. So potential move down almost $4 for Abbott Laboratories if we can break 98.50 to the downside and 99.40 I'll put to the upside. Just move this up just a little bit. All right, and we have BlackRock. Everything's trucking along, it's looking good, and now it feels like it's slowly curling over. If we go ahead and we break below here, we might have that 561 that would put us just below that 21 EMA, still above our 20 SMA, but we might really start to see a downturn. You can see we had massive, massive volume back here. Have we had anything like that since? No. So we could keep this one on watch and look at it and say, hey, all right, this might move, or put our resistance right up here at 272.20. There, and to the downside, where's my red line here? Go ahead and put it right here. 568. You're in Bamboo, where in Texas? So it's a big state. I know that I've got a fair number of Texas followers. And I've been to Houston, Dallas, and Austin. So earnings, this is now our third day after earnings. That might be the bottom that was set in, so we might continue up here from here. If it continues down, you can see that we hit a resistance point, and if it might bounce off of that as well. All right, 568 and 572. All right, Delta Airlines. Not looking good. When all of these major airlines are talking about cutting back on employees, raising more money for the company, they're just hemorrhaging money left and right because they don't want to give up the flying and are still flying around empty airplanes. That's not a good business model, right? So 25.80, let's move it down just a little bit, right? Oops, not that one. I'll put that back. All right, John, have a great one. Happy birthday to your granddaughter. Let's move it on down to 25.50. Go for that round number right there. So 25.50 to the downside and 26.40 to the upside. All right. Now I have some potential swings too on my list here. KTOS, massive volume, and it hit the 20 level. We do have earnings coming up, so you do want to keep that in mind. It might have a nice run up. If it can go ahead and break the 20 mark, look for 21 and then maybe even on up to 22. So we might have a nice $2 move to the upside if it can break out. But remember, it does have earnings coming up. And we also have SNP, China Petroleum. When we draw this, oops, not that. I wanted to draw a trend line. And we're setting it up and we're drawing a trend line. We are above the trend. You can see once we broke above here, we had a higher than normal volume. So this could be an upward turn. Let's also look at USO, right? USO is just sort of flatlining right here, downside up right here. So it's sort of flatlining. Many times that'll be a big move is going to happen. That could be laying the foundation for a big breakout if we can break above 30. So keep that one on watch too. Yeah, G-Man, I'm feeling bearish on all of the airlines as well. They're not looking too pretty with what's going on. I don't like that Amazon. What do you guys see? Do you guys see this? I liked it back here because it was bouncing off the 21 EMA. Not so much now. It did pull up above the 20 SMA, but we have that crossover. Let's look at our weekly, right? Let's pull it back on the weekly. We bounced off of our 4 EMA, so I'm feeling okay with that one. Big. It didn't go bearish after this candlestick here, so we did have a little bit more of a bounce. But if it does really drop below right there, that 2963.50, that could get ugly. So 2963.50, and let's look at it on a 15-minute chart. So it actually came and it touched that and it bounced. And then 316, we'll go ahead and put it up here, 316.50. I meant for that to be a 50 cents for Amazon. But again, it does have earnings coming up, so trade up into earnings and then I wouldn't hold it through. It has had some good earnings, but look, here we had a nice move after earnings. It came to the upside, but we dropped down right at earnings. Here we had a surge up, came up, and pulled back. So you can see that here we have this trend line. Let's go to our weekly. Draw some trend lines too. Check it out here. So we were riding. Let's go if we go along our bottom here. Right? Maybe it will come back and bounce off of 27.73 area. So we might have a $250 move to the downside before it surges up. And when we go and we look at it on the daily, how far away are extended? We're pretty extended, right? So this one here, whoops, undo that. This one I want to mess with. No, I don't want to do that on that. This one right here. Keep selecting the wrong one. Sorry, guys. I want this one. Just move it somewhere crazy and I can adjust it. Okay, perfect. All right, I'll deal with it later. Okay, AG. So AG, silver as well, just like PAAS. Nice, San Antonio. Beautiful, never been there. All right, so here we go. We have AG is surging like crazy. Now, if you guys know me, I pay attention to short volume. So let's see what AG's short volume was like lately. How stubborn are the shorts? Right? Not that stubborn. Right? We were only at about 40%. My personal pick over AG and PAAS and SLV is SLV. Why? Look at how stubborn the shorts are. right? We're up here, and these shorts keep piling in. For the past 50 days, it's had 72.9% short volume. That's just kind of ridiculous, right? There's more people selling and shorting this than there are buying. And when you start to see that the volume is going up and more people are shorting, it's like Tesla. It's going to have a major move. And gold and silver, you guys can see I've been looking it up. Gold and silver does tend to surge when the dollar is dropping. The dollar is dropping at the moment. So let's also look at PAAS right in that silver world. Right, we're at a trend line, so we might have that next leg up. We might be creating that bull flag, right here. Hey, we break this 37 with higher than normal volume. Again, there is earnings coming up, so keep that in mind. It might be good right up until the beginning of August, and then it might pull back. But for the most part, when we look back on a weekly chart or even a monthly chart, do we have a lot of resistance here? Maybe on up to 43. Let's look at silver, same chart. Look at how much space we have. 23.50, 26.50, 27. People are just being so stubborn. Like, being stubborn and shorting is not good. So we broke this as well in this past month. And that trend line, that's a fairly shallow trend. So when you have that volume coming into it, it can really catapult it up. All right, we were looking at MKL next. All right, MKL. So I don't know where that trend line came from, or why it's there. But it's looking nice to, oh, we're on a monthly chart, that's why. So we do have that downward trend right here. Went ahead, broke it. Now we're going to the upside. Go ahead and draw a new one over here. Move this down here. So we're a bit extended away from the 4 and the 8. It could come back down, test the trend line, 974, and then continue to the upside. Remember, earnings is coming up. Higher than normal volume, that could be the shorts that started to get squeezed. Looking at this area, which was resistance twice in the past, and then it surged up from there. Might see a test up here. You love my little pink dotted line. 1,046 and 1,050. That might be a $35 to the upside before a pullback at earnings. No idea what the earnings are going to be, just looking at the chart. And then CRISPR. So CRISPR, whoever put that up was saying they wanted to find a good entry, right? Looking for an entry, G-Man. All right, let's go here. Oh, I have chat down there. All right, so let's draw our trend line, right? Well, that's pulling back a little bit. Let's go to our weekly chart. Might be a bit flatter for us. Nope. Let's do one down here. So if it pulled all the way back, you know, maybe that 70-50 mark would be good right here between that 15 and the 21 EMA, and we also have this flatter trend line here. Otherwise, you could look at 80 as well potentially as an entry point off of the 8 EMA right here, but I would give it space. You know, it might come back down to that 70-50. So, you know, midway point might be okay, depending on where you are, but also remember earnings coming up August 5th as well. All right, if you guys don't have anything else, I'll give you a couple seconds. Is there anything else that you guys want me to cover? I do have some awesome new videos coming out this week. On Tuesday, there's going to be a video all about stock market manipulation at 6 p.m. And also one on Thursday, I'm doing a book review of Pitbull. It's an awesome book. So all about traders, about Martin Schwartz. and he's awesome. He was a floor trader. He was an analyst, turned into a floor trader, turned into a hedge fund manager. It's really cool. So check that out. And if you guys don't have any more questions, Baba G-Man. All right. Then we'll wrap it up. So Baba on our weekly, let's do a little, that will correspond to our daily as well. Now it broke down there. Let's go over here. It's looking a bit bearish right there. Let's pull this back here. Still looking a little bit bearish, but we tested that 20 and 21, which I like as a potential reversal. However, it started to pull over. So I do see a bit of an M on this one as well for Baba. And if it breaks below here, 233, we might see it pull back to that 50 simple moving average down at 226. So look for 242 to hold as support potentially if it does continue to the downside. In my opinion, again, I'm still feeling bullish on the market. You know, we came here, we had a bit more volume, and if Amazon goes forward and really has amazing earnings, that's just going to catapult the market right on up to 330, maybe even 333, and then we'll be testing 340. So keep that in mind. Oh, Boeing, sure. Kawakila. Yeah, you got it. Let's check out Boeing. That's a fun name to say. All right, let's move this down here. So I'm seeing a lot of selling volume right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 days of selling volume. And then we have this support level where it wasn't really able to break below. But let's move this down just a little bit more down here. So we do have this 50 simple moving average. I would look for 170, 150 to hold. Now they have had a lot of airlines. Actually, I'd like 160, 170 to hold. They have had a lot of airlines cancel. And do you guys see this? Triangle right here. So is it going to go ahead and every time that it's come here, it's just sort of continued to bounce off of 170. So looking for that 170 level, that's going to be crucial, right? It hit it here. This was resistance up at 180, and it came down and it had support right around here at 122. Now it looks like 170 is that support area. So is it going to be, hey, guess what? We have some more and it will go ahead. Well, nothing's really good for Boeing, but it's also propped up by the government. So Boeing cannot tank. I got lots of trend lines here on Tesla. Tesla, it did pull back. It's at a buy point actually for me right down here at 1386. When we go to our weekly, again, we just bounced off of the 4. So looking at that, it's still fairly strong for me. Yeah, it was very far overextended. So it looks like it could still continue to the upside. You know, I think honestly we'll see Tesla around 4,000 at some point, but not tomorrow, right? If it were to pull back, it's going to come all the way back down to potentially 1,100 down here. Okay, so you all have a great weekend, the rest of it, and I'm going to start doing my live streams 12:15 throughout the week. So come and join me live at 12:15 and we'll talk about the market. We'll do a SPY analysis as what's going on throughout the day, and then check out my videos Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Have a great week. I'll see you soon. Bye.